imprints. We all learned about imprints, how it becomes a small dot gets into the genetic center, and when needed, it gets expressed itself and everything. This is all what we observe and what we feel through the existence of our life force particle and life force. The question comes up is, yes, this is all our stuff, our observation, what we do and how we feel and get into our body. What is the effect of life force and the life force particle through others? How does the interaction happens when somebody else's life force particle? See, I'm sitting here and say meditating here. Along with it, we had our regular meditation session with the exercise and everything. I have somebody else like Bharat Shah sitting in his home and he's also meditating. He might have a certain opinion on me. How does someone else's opinion, though we all know everybody's one and we all came from the same, but we still carry an individuality? How does the good opinion or the bad opinion of somebody else influences my life force and life force particle? That's the question that I'm throwing in today to start our discussion. I open up anybody who wants to comment on it. How would, not mine, someone else's thought process, life force particle and life force influences my existence? Does proximity play a role? Like whether when we are closer together, does it have more effect, or does proximity doesn't matter because thought travels faster than light? So I throw that up. Who wants to open up with their thought and suggestions or answer?
Can I share my thoughts, please?
Yes, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Thank you.
Do you want to start recording the session? Hold on one second. Let me start recording.
Recording in progress.
Sorry. Let me repeat my question again just in case because recording, I just started the recording. We all know how life force particles, life force energy operates within us. My thought, my energy, myself, though we are all part of this entire universal magnetic field. How does someone else's life force particle, life force energy that they have impact, influence our or my individual life force? Does proximity have its effect, or doesn't? Proximity doesn't matter because thought travels faster than light. Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Ananda. Please proceed.
Thank you, Aya. First answer is definitely others' life force, thoughts, and biomagnetism affects another person. The second one is proximity matters because it is just like throwing a ball. If I have to throw a ball from where I am standing for say 100 centimeters or 1 meter, I need to have some force. While I have to throw the ball to few hundred meters, then I need to use more force. Proximity matters in this way, which means, say for example, if an husband and wife and a child are living in a family, because they are quite close to each other, even a slight thought of an husband towards the wife and vice versa will have major impact. While if somebody, say for example, as you all know, I'm living in England, so if my parents who are living in Chennai are thinking about me, it will certainly have an impact, but impact will be slightly lesser because they are far away. But having said that, if they think quite intensely. Say, for example, on a Sunday morning, they are thinking, oh, it's nice if Ananda gives us a call. We need to discuss this thing. Why he's not calling me? Usually he calls at the morning 9 o'clock. If the thought intensity is quite in depth, it is equivalent to the force which I am using to throw the ball. It will affect anywhere in the universe, not necessarily the earth. It will affect all the way up to the Big Bang and the galaxies and galaxies. So number one, thoughts and life force of one person definitely affects others community, other countries, and rest of the world or the universe. Proximity matters because of the intensity, but if the intensity is good, proximity has no value at all. It will affect whatever the distance a person is.
Thank you very much for nicely putting through. The intensity of the thought matters more. Even person very close to you could have less intense thought than a person who's a little far away can influence the life force and the life force particle through their biomagnetic channel and the thought process. Thank you very much for opening up the conversation. Rajmohan Iyer.
I'd like to add.
Naresh. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Naresh.
So basically, in my experience, I've seen that thought, what doctor said, the proximity matters only close by. But of my experience, I've been thinking somebody, if I think then say I want to talk, immediately I get a call. That distance, doesn't matter at that point. I've experienced this many times, multiple times. I think something and then immediately I get back, a call or they respond. So that again, it depends on the intensity. When you're sitting there and then peacefully, and then I think, okay, I need to talk to them. I've received many times the calls that happen, and especially within the proximity, within family, I observed many times with the close people like wife, mother, that connection is there. Something that always they think I respond, or I think they respond immediately. That kind of proximity, if it is very close, that happens very often. So that's really that I want to stress upon.
Thank you, Naresh. So if I summarize what you said is proximity does matter, but proximity of who also matters along with it.
Yeah, they need to be in connection, that also matters. So, if they're the same frequency, then it immediately you can pick up, but other people, it might take, your thought really need to penetrate their, their layer, right?
So that closely relates to how Maharishi blesses people after the meditation. Like first you bless yourself, your spouse, your children, your siblings, followed by your close relatives, friends, office colleagues, neighbors, any enemy miscreants, and the progressive way in which he blesses kind of gives an indication of how this proximity versus the influence is proportional. So that kind of aligns with what you're trying to say. So thank you for your comment on it. Thank you.
And especially with the blessings, I've seen it working very nicely. I've seen the results of blessings with my experience. So a lot of family problems, they come and tell me, and I start blessing them, and I've seen them getting resolved, peacefully. That's one thing, especially when you do this after meditation, that has a real effect. I've seen this, observed it, experienced it, those things.
Thank you, Naresh. We will move to next. Rajmohan Iyer, you have a comment? Iyer, you're still muted, Iyer.
After Rajmohan Iyer, if time permits, I can speak something.
Now we can hear you. Yes.
What Ananda said, that intensity matters. That is correct. And he said that the blessing also. Now, after blessings, our biomagnetism is more, and the intensity is increased. And when we bless our family members, other thing, we get a good result. So the problems are solved. They are happy. You know? So, and similarly, even though sometimes they are not near to us, proximity is not there. When you think that thought goes very fast. You know, wherever they are there, that blessings goes to them, and they get happiness. No? So our when this wave theory is also works very well. Intensity is the most important one. That's the same point. I agree with all this. I also had an experience. Similarly, when we think about somebody very deeply, then suddenly we get a call from them. Just now only I was thinking about you, you are calling me. Like that, my experience also there. So intensity matters even though they are not near to us. When they are near to us, still more reactions. Their reactions are happy and everything. So that is my understanding. So whatever you said is also it is correct.
Thank you. Yeah, Avaragal Mudaya, while you are there, I just want to throw in a slightly higher question is, how does somebody else's curses or bad thoughts about us influence us? I mean, we always talk about good things and good things happening around us, but then the curses also affect us, right? Two ways. One, intensively affecting us. Second one is, how does that interact with our life force and life force particle?
The curse is when they are very near to us, the intensity is more. When they are very far away, but we don't feel that curse. When you imagine or something, they are not good. They are always saying some curse. Once they said, you remember that thought. So that thought alone increases. Gradually 4 times, 5 times, if you remember, then the intensity increases. And after sometimes, if you do meditation, other things, automatically we are ignoring their bad words of the others. So that way only it is proximity, only maximum intensity. And very far away people, if at all we want to receive that information or that thought, then only it affects. This is what my understanding.
Thank you. Yeah, Varagalamudan. Dr. Ananda, you raised your hand. Yes, please unmute yourself. And
thank you. Just to add two things to this. One thing is for that sensation that, for example, when we want to thinking about our parents, suddenly the parents call us, or sometimes we may have emailed someone and we are expecting a reply, say for example on Monday. If you're not getting the reply on Monday, Tuesday around in the morning time, when we are thinking why we haven't got the reply on Monday, suddenly the Tuesday morning within 15-20 minutes you may have seen that the email has arrived. This one we are thinking only from the first person perspective, that is from our perspective. It works in multiple ways. It is not necessarily that the thought which comes to us that can I talk to my appa, can I talk to my amma, the thought comes to us could be because even my parents were thinking about can we call Ananda. So it could be there. And the thought that why I have not got the email yesterday, I'm supposed to get it on Monday. When you get the thought on Tuesday, it may be because the email has already received in your inbox, and that email can produce that sensation or a thought that you need to think about that. So we need to think this not just from the first person perspective, we need to think from the other's perspective also. So you may be thinking about someone and they may be just landed up in your doorstep and ringing the bell. It's because they have come to your city. For example, they have landed in the railway station and they are catching a cab towards your house. So all those time they are thinking quite strongly about you, that made you to think about them. So it acts also from others' perspective, not necessarily only from first person's perspective. And regarding the other question, curse, one thing I want to make it clear is, for the world, for the Brahman, for the universe, there is no difference between blessing and curse. If you throw up a coin, there is an equal chance it will end up in heads or tail. As similar to that, good and bad, curse and blessings were all absolutely same. If somebody throws a blessing with some intents, it will act in the same way if somebody throws cursing in that same intents. But we all get a bit of a discipline, not being cursing to each other. We all wish to develop that blessing attitude and culture as a part of discipline, as a part of our community. So that's why the blessing is given so much of weightage. So the curse and blessing has got absolutely same thing. And for a neutrality or almighty or Brahman or whatever you call that Shiva Kalam, these two are absolutely same, and both are equally necessity for punishing the evil and for promoting the goodness. So it acts exactly the same way. So the cursing and blessing, only we take it positively, the blessing, and negatively the curse, because it affects our life. But from almighty perspective, both are important to create the equilibrium in the world. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Yeah, thank you for further clarifying and elaborating. So far we have learned a compliment, a very good, nice compliment between Dr. Ananda, Naresh, and Dr. Rajmohan Iyer. They're complementing each other. So let's go a little further deeper in. I'm just going to throw in Maharishi's thought process around wave theory and its effect. So we'll go slightly deeper and see how life force particle is going to affected by us, by our eminent speakers again. So according to Maharishi's wave theory, it has 5 ways of functions, which is clash, reflection, refraction, penetration, and interaction. So just, everybody knows it. I'm just giving a revision of it. Clash, reflection, refraction, penetration, and interaction. The qualities that it takes are either magnetic, electrical, chemical, mechanical, or psychic. Given that the wave are formed like this, and during the topic of blessings and its benefit, Maharishi specifically talks about these 5 functions of wave and its 5 qualities. How does these clash, reflection, refraction, penetration, interaction versus the qualities of which emits out of it as magnetic, electric, chemical, mechanical, or psychic wave affects, or how does life force particle directly has an influence on them? We're going further down again with the point taken that curses or blessings are equal. It's the way we take it, which means these waves do have these kind of penetrations or these kind of interactions, these kind of reflection or clashes happening within ourselves. How does someone else's life force particle, my life force particle, interact with each other, and how does the energy exchange happens? Can somebody throw in a light on it?
I can go ahead and then.
Yeah, please. Yes.
So basically, if you think about it, right, everything like boils down to eventually, like at the base, basically it becomes all dust particles, right? So even the life force particle consists of only dust particles. So anything that you think or the wave, what we
Naresh, for some reason you got muted.
think like a thought, or, right? That all basically is the ripple effect in the dust particle field. So we are sitting here, our life force particle is here, but when you're thinking about some person in the distance, this thought or something like it needs to travel in some field, okay, and that field is the dust particle field. So basically, when the thought comes or something like from us, like even the, like for example, the thought, and also like we are also eliminating continuously like a sound, all that stuff, right? So that one has a ripple effect on the dust particle field, and then it traverses, and then when it reaches that other end, the same ripple effect is basically it's like with a certain frequency, and then it goes and it interacts with the five things, right? The wave action. So it interacts with that person in the five actions, and then it basically it affects that the life force in that person. So basically, it's all through the dust particle field. That's what I feel. So it's not life force. It's not you're not sending any life force particle or anything from here to there. It's only the ripple effect through the dust particle field. That's my thinking.
Thank you, Naresh. Anyone else want to add to the point?
Ripple effect is correct. I have one question. Suppose the receptivity of the other person is more, then he may receive the information starting from the other person. Suppose receptivity is not there. I don't want to hear any bad words or bad things. It is the or my bio magnetism is more. I don't want to get any other scolding or something else. Will it not enter into my mind or in my body?
It should not.
This is what my question.
Yeah, that's a very good interaction. This exact question was in my mind also. Irrespective of whether I like or not, others' thought comes to me. I may put any shape into it, but others thought come to me. How does that affect? I don't want curses, but people do curse me. Right? So how does that affect? Yeah.
But
so to create a shield, I have to do meditation for a long time. This is what my understanding.
Yeah. My feeling is, you can always put a filter, right? It's like a receiver, right? As long as your frequencies becomes subtler and subtler, you can always go to the kind of subtler frequencies. Your mind always in the subtler frequencies. It can decide what needs to receive that kind of, so it can decide your mind. You will have more, you can apply filters then.
So let's get to a little more technicalities again. Is fine. These waves have qualities like magnetic quality, electrical quality, chemical quality, mechanical quantity, psychic qualities in it. So these qualities are higher than the life force particles in itself. So somebody thinks about me or somebody says something about me, there is a magnetic wave that gets generated, an electric impulse that works, a chemical reaction happens into myself, and then I may do something chemical action. It might affect my mind psychically also. So just about the life force particle, how does these qualities of wave affects us, and how does meditation helps us in dealing with that? Dr. Ananda, you have your hands raised. I will go with you first.
Thank you, Ayya. Before going to this present question, I will just touch upon the previous question. Regarding the question whether is it possible to protect us from others' curses or bad thoughts, the answer is absolutely yes. As Naresh also explained, if you only tune to that particular station, you will hear the songs or the documentary of the particular TV or the radio station. As long as you're not tuned to it, you are protected. Having said that, it all depends upon the differential strength. If you are a good meditator, if you are able to shield yourself well, you will get protected from even higher level of deep curses, etc. So it all depends upon end of the day which one has got the more potential. And Maharishi uses a Tamil word by name Kappu to explain this. With the help of the appropriate meditative practice, we can create a kapu so that we won't get bewildered by the others' curses or thought process and everything. And also, it will also diminish the strength of our problems. Like for example, if others are going to throw us a problem which is of the magnitude of 100%, as I said, with good meditative we can protect 100% of it, but sometime it can seep inside, but it will be very weak, like 5%, 10%, which is quite manageable. That is one thing. And regarding the question of how exactly this one works inside to give our influence is exactly by the electromagnetic force. So electromagnetic forces are only divided into various those 5 types, like psychic energy and all those things. Because of the changes in the electromagnetic force, your brain gets the wavelength in that particular frequency, and that makes you to think about the person, think negatively, think anxiously, think with a bit of angriness, etc., etc. But if you are able to not associate with that particular frequency, then you will be protected. You won't get affected directly by that. One of the commonest example what Maharishi says is, say for example, dad in the morning when he's finishing his morning newspaper, he keeps kind of a pen or a key in the top of the almari, because there is a child playing quite close by. He wants the child not to reach them. But then once he goes, has a shower and then breakfast, and then when he's ready to go, he can't find the key. He literally struggles and thinks about it. So finally a flash comes that, oh, I kept it above the almari to protect it from the child playing in the floor. And as soon as that association into that particular frequency happens, he will remember it. The same thing happens even with our own, say for example, studying for exams. Sometime if you are sitting in one place and studying, you may recollect the things what you studied in that place compared to even the exam center or in the school. And similarly, if you have heard a very nice documentary or a very spiritual talk or something, and at the time you are in traveling, say you are crossing Delhi airport, something like that, when you come across that thought, you will again associate, I heard it when I was waiting for check-in during the Delhi airport. So you can correlate a lot what happened around that initial imprintment. So the whole thing in essence is, others' thoughts will kindle your background music and select the frequency so that your brain will think appropriate thoughts. As per your meditation, number one, if you are a novice meditator, you will get bad thoughts because of others' bad thoughts, but because of discipline, you will be able to win it and you will be able to control it. If you are a little bit more advanced meditator, your bad thoughts intensity will be less, so it won't be a very difficult job for you to control your thoughts or handle it. You will be handling it absolutely with comfort. So that's how, if you see people like Maharishi, they are not offended by anything happening around them, even though there will be a lot of ups and downs. But as you get advanced, you won't even feel that there is something bad happening around you, and others' curses or bad thinking won't even reach you, because you are too far from those unnecessary frequencies, and your frequencies are associated with like absolute Brahman and all in the good wavelength. So literally everything is a part of electromagnetic waves, and we can protect ourselves right from low level to absolute 100% secure level.
Well, thank you. Yeah. To summarize, you can say, for others, it's just a summarizing and not saying it's a magnetic wave. We all get affected by it. How do we react to it depends on the frequency and the wavelength of ourself. So irrespective of whether you are meditating or not meditating, these waves do clash with us. They do penetrate, reflect, refract, and interact with us. But if we have a better frequency in ourselves, we could, based on the Kapu, Arut Kapu, or the divine protection within ourselves, could filter it out, or we could channel it out, or do the exact same thing as clash, reflection, refraction, penetration, interaction. Similarly, we can also let it clash with us or refract us, reflect us, penetrate, or just move away from us. Don't even come close to me. So we can do that. It's a nice analogy on the quality of magnetism. I would want somebody to expand, maybe Swatantra Devi ji, Dr. Swatantra Devi, on how does the electrical and chemical affects us by somebody else's life force or thought process. Can you, if you can, please unmute yourself. Physically, how does this electric impulse and chemical reaction affect us by somebody else's thought process? If you can highlight something. Doctor?
May I?
Yeah, sure, Blanca, go ahead. Waiting for doctor to unmute herself. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, they're not there?
No, go ahead, Blanca, go ahead.
Okay. Vibrations, if there's a direct insult and a very surprise one that you don't even, you're not even waiting for it. It's just that somebody comes with a vibe and start yelling at you because they had a bad day or whatever. It has an effect, but at the same time, if you know that you put that vibration in its place, like you know that it's not for you because you haven't done anything. That's one. The second one is, okay, that person is talking to me and saying that to me. Let me check if I said something or I have done something, in a very analytical way and not in a very egoistic or ego type way. Then that doesn't affect you that much. If it affects you because you have a big ego and nobody can tell you anything and that attitude, then it affects you a lot. It affects your liver, it affects your immune system, it affects your digestive system, and it affects your neurological system and gives you a headache. In the martial arts, I learned a couple of tricks, and they're locks, like hand locks and muscle locks, to shield myself from people that are not well and they're throwing bad vibrations everywhere, or like if you work with people that are like that and you cannot avoid it, then there's some locks that you can do, especially like the thumb between the second finger and the third finger, crossing your hands on your solar plexus, just tension in your solar muscles, solar plexus muscle, the stomach and things, just and the anus muscles, because those are like doors where the most vibrations come in. So that'll help, and also your mind, like that will not affect me. And it's just make like a shield, mental shield, and also so I've learned that to protect myself from people that they don't have much control. And then we just have to feel compassion, and then if we feel compassion, that doesn't affect us that much. That's what I have to say.
It's a very interesting take, Blanca, on how you and how in general we take somebody else's point. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear the last part of it. Dr. Rabindranath Iyer called me on the other line, and he's going to join soon. And we'll post the question to him as well. Thank you very much. That's a very profound way of telling and understanding from your life as well. So thank you for that.
May I know from Belanka what is the solar muscles she mentioned alone, please?
Solar plex.
No, so she said solar plexus muscles. Yeah.
Yes.
Abdominal muscles.
Okay.
Just tie them up, and then that doesn't, it's like blockage.
Yeah, absolutely. That good way to say. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Dr. Sudhantra Devi, can you unmute yourself and have your thought on it? No. Okay. Anyone else want to add to the point?
Yeah, I can add on the mechanism how Blanca has explained how it actually works and how it relates to Kaya Kalpa. Is it okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So what Blanca said is absolutely correct. So if you are in a wrong situation where whether it's a domestic one or in office or somewhere where people are bit against you, etc., if you are able to have this power to perform the lock, the solar muscles, abdominal muscles, as she said, especially the anal muscles, just like how we do in Kaya Kalpa, or in medical terms we call it as Kegel's exercise. By contracting these muscles, we are shutting down the lower chakras, especially the Mooladhara and Swadhisthana chakras. These Mooladhara, Swadhisthana chakras, and to certain extent Manipuraga, are responsible for our fear, fight kind of attitude. And that's why in Kaya Kalpa we try to take the biomagnetism from the lower chakras to the higher chakras, so we are not affected by this fear, fight, and flight type of attitudes. So physically, next time if somebody interested, if they are in a wrong situation, unfortunately, I bless that this should not happen. But if there is a situation, if they practice, they can literally feel that the environment is throwing something at them and they are not affected by that, and it won't create a bad vibe within them, and it won't create a bad thought within them to express. So there is a difference between a novice person getting bad thoughts, in doing introspection, avoiding that bad thought to establish as physical words. But an experienced person won't get even the bad thoughts if they perform the solar plexus muscle contraction and anal contraction. So these are all the biomagnetism in the lower part of chakras, and that's the prime reason why in Kaya Kalpa we wish to take the biomagnetism from lower chakras to higher chakras. And the same thing happens even in the meditation, where if you are able to focus correctly in the Agna plexus, correctly in the Turiyam and Turiyadhira plexus, you will feel that highness, and there is no way you will be affected by the fear or the cursing environment which you are supposed to undergo. The other thing which Blanca correctly pointed out is the application in the world day-to-day activities without ego. In the spiritual life, there is no place for ego, not even the minuscule. Even the minuscule ego will literally rope us down miles and miles away from the peak what we have achieved. So there should not be any place for egoness, and there should be introspection to make sure that what others are saying, is it correct, have I done anything mistake, is there anything I need to reflect upon that. All those introspection points need to be ticked up, and there is no place for ego, whether you are in the spiritual attitude or in the normal physical day-to-day activity attitude, whether you are in domestic situation or in official situation. And then only the things will work. As long as there is small amount of ego, we will end up facing some challenges in the day-to-day life, and the spiritual progression will be very much slow or curtailed. Vargavalamudan.
I like to add a small thing here about the thought affecting the cause, affecting people, how we can filter out. If you think about it, right, it's like very similar to the diseases, right? Because sometimes during some like influenza season or flu season, etc., a lot of people they get affected. But we think you might be still, going around with them, all that stuff, but you will not be affected. Why? Because our biomagnetism has a strength. Basically, at that point, like, it can basically you don't get affected. So it's like at that physical level. The same thing it can happen with the mental level also. So if your biomagnetism is at full strength, basically at that point you can filter out anyone's influence on us as well. So just I want to add this to the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Ananda and Naresh, for further explaining and going through that. Dr. Raya has joined. Unfortunately, he was traveling, so he couldn't join on time. I had no need to apologize. We are talking about life force and life force particle affecting us, not our life force and life force particle. How does somebody else's life force particle affect us? How does it clashes? How does it reflects, refraction, penetration, and interacts with us? And how does the qualities of it, like how does it affect our magnetic waves, electric wave, chemical and mechanical and psychic wave? So we've been doing a collaborative effort about understanding how someone else's life force particle, like maybe a blessing or a curse, how does that affect us? So you just listen to what Dr. Ananda had to say, and Naresh had to add point to it. So yeah, if you want, you can start giving your inputs. Thank you.
Thank you, Karan. This brings a question of the strength of our biomagnetic waves. The biomagnetic waves, as you know, come from Panchabhutas as Panchatanmatras. The pressure is the lightest, the sound is the next order, the light, the third, taste fourth, and smell fifth. What is the sixth? The sixth sense is the specialty of the human. So it is the mind wave, that is the biomagnetism operating as mind, becomes the sixth. And you have the biomagnetic equivalence to seven tadus also. The first tadu, the juice, then the blood, the muscle, fat, bone, marrow, and the seventh tadu, sexual vital fluid. So these are all the ascending strength of the biomagnetic waves. The biomagnetic waves that emanate from the juice, the blood, the muscle, the fat, bone, marrow, all not very well studied. But the one that comes out of the vital fluid or the Shukratadu is well known. And you all know sexual vital fluid getting converted to ojas and then to biomagnetism. So this is the highest order of the biomagnetism that is working through the human system. Does it make any sense or meaning to you, Manisha?
Yes, namaste, sir. Valga Valamudan. Yes, sir. Before you joined, Tarunji mentioned about the wave theory, the 5 functions of wave and 5 qualities of wave.
Yes.
So I was thinking in terms of what you just spoke of biomagnetism, and it makes perfect sense because, and then like I was trying to relate the 5 qualities with respect to the thought force and how the Panchatan Matras and the mind function. So you just summarized it well, sir. Thank you.
This is of importance because when we exploit our biomagnetism, when you try to focus the biomagnetism to the area of necessity. See, you have a diabetic foot ulcer, non-healing ulcer. If you direct your meditative energy into the affected path, then it will have a beneficial effect there. And when you are able to pass the magnetic post-meditative this thing, that wave into the affected path, it is doing some good, but you can augment that force of healing nature. You can increase, stabilize it, strengthen it with conversion. That is the Pancha Tanmatras. You convert from the pressure to sound, light, taste, smell, and then the mind waves. And then you can also give command that you are getting the magnetic wave from the juice, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, and the sukrata. And when you elevate the strength of the tadu to that of sukra or the sexual vital fluid, then it has the maximum effort, the effect on the tissues that they are receiving it. So, one of our group operating from Namakkal, there one Professor Jaypal is there. He is very popular in the sky meetings conducted every Sunday, alternate Sunday like that. So he was once struck by a scorpion, and there the variety of scorpion are notorious that they have very strong poison, and it was affecting him. He was sweating badly and he was staying. So even to take him to the doctor, there were no facilities in the small place where he was staying. Moment he got a thought wave that why not I direct my the biomagnetic energy after doing Kayakalpa, Ojas energy, I'll send it to this thing to arrest the venom, arrest the poison in the site itself. So he did some 15 Kayakalpas and 15 Ojas breaths, and to his surprise and every one of us to know that he was able to arrest the poison at the site of the sting. So he was excited, and every possible occasion he narrates that we can augment our biomagnetic wave and arrest. Similarly, he says I can use it as a doctor in medical emergencies also. So that is the importance of ourselves able to alter, upgrade the biomagnetic potency. What do you think, Ashwin Shah? Ashwinji?
Namaste, sir. I'm sorry I cannot talk. I'm in an environment where I am just listening. I sent a message to the host that I'm sorry.
Whom shall we ask? Naresh?
Wow, I was
Raj?
thinking and you were, yeah, I was thinking and you were calling. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
basically, what I think is, see, it's when you say biomagnetism, right? And then if scorpion stuck, basically there will be a chemical reaction with our body, right?
Yes.
So so what we are doing is by sending the biomagnetism, biomagnetism again, it can go and then convert into again a chemical. It can also chemical reaction. So when you're sending that, so basically it is. Trying to nullify that chemical reaction, right, through that OJS. Basically, when the biomagnetism goes and to that region and nullifies that chemical reaction, that's what's happening there, right? So
Here,
and also I heard incidences with many saints, who are bitten by a really poisonous snake, and then they never even bothered, just they simply walk away, and then nothing happens to them. Multiple instances I've heard like that, So even the poisonous snake doesn't affect, people with strong biomagnetic force.
yes, what I am asking you is your ability to upgrade the strength of biomagnetic waves. Do you
Yes,
understand?
sorry? Yeah,
It is possible.
yeah, it is possible.
And being a doctor, and now I am popular in my place where I practice, Big Bazaar Street, Coimbatore, as a doctor who manages to heal very bad diabetic foot ulcers. So I have right now 2 bad cases where one fellow has lost his 5 toes, and the metatarsals are exposed and they are likely to be getting affected. Another person, he has lost the big toe, the second and fourth and fifth. So he has the second toe alone projecting, rest of things not healing. And the second gentleman has been used to alcohol, and naturally his biomagnetism is very poor. So I have asked them to come for dressing and continue treatment, but the metatarsal bones are exposed, or they are getting discolored. When discoloration takes place, the shining of the covering takes place, they invariably lose their bone, becomes less viable. So I thought that we have to do something to hasten the healing. So I asked both of them to come along with their wife, and all the 4 were taught about the initiation magnet. They were able to feel the magnetism and focus it in the hands and the palm. And as Maharishi also puts both the palms rotating against each other, that exercise, they were able to feel. And I asked them to increase the strength of the biomagnetic wave as though it is coming from the Akash, air, water, the fire, water, and solid smell. So surprisingly, even though they learned only on the very first day, they were able to feel these changes out of necessity. I explained to them your ulcer very fast, otherwise part of the limb, the foot. So they were also very much motivated. They were able to do it. And the one fellow who has lost all the 5 toes of the feet, he was uh, able to the granulation tissue, and he will be able to conserve
Can you hear doctor? Hello? Can you hear him?
very bad granulation
No, his voice
tissue.
was breaking.
Hello?
Your voice was breaking. Can you repeat the last?
Yes. See, the second fellow who was an alcoholic got motivated that he has to improve his biomagnetism, and now I'm using antibiotic also. His granulation tissue has become lustrous, red, and shining. And I think if he continues to this exercise of improving, I intend to teach them the Tadu level and take it to the Shukra Tadu level, making it a Ojas energy and asking him to direct that Ojas energy to the ulcers so that the healing is fast and no further damage is allowed to operate. So this is of interest to me, and I'm really thankful to see. I'm trying to, if I could get some more. I have around 5 or 6 cases like that. Now 3 documented, and the other were not, because I was not concentrating on that. So it is possible to do it. And in psychological conditions, psychotic conditions, the depression responds well to the higher power of biomagnetism. And this has therapeutic or some place in treatment also. Does it make some meaning, Rajmohan? Rajmohan?
Definitely, it's a very meaningful. Actually, in our Trichy mandram, we used to do the relaxation. Maharishi's relaxation, no? There, we focus more time on the particular organ where we feel pain or something else, no? So how to reduce that pain? So we also add some sentences. So the blood flow is normal, heat flow is normal, air flow is normal, life force flow is normal, then biomagnetism flow is normal. Then we add some sentences. See, the pain is reduced in that particular area. The pain is reduced. You remember that organ where you feel pain in your leg or knees. You remember that part, the pain is reduced, then the old cells are dissolved like a waste material. It goes away. That old cells are going away. New cells are formed and new cells are blossomed. It gets more energy. Then you say all cells are connected now. And overall, all biomagnetism is now flowing through all these things. Then it that part is gets strengthened. Then the whole part is relaxed, relax, relax, relax. This way, that entire affected area is focused on this. So this one we used to say 3 times. Then automatically that part gets more biomagnetism, and old cells are removed, new cells are formed, new cells are get strengthened, and total relaxation happens. That way improve our health. This we are doing it. This also I am practicing it also for a long time. What is all of that?
Ex-president of Trichy Zone.
Okay.
So she was telling that one of the patients attending their center was having thalassemia, sickle cell anemia. It is a genetically determined disorder and very difficult to manage. People give repeated blood transfusions to manage the anemia. And one such patient was bad. The patient was getting blood transfusions as a life-saving measure. But the professor who was motivated to treat was able to give relaxation exercise to that patient and suggesting that the genetic disorder, the sickle cell red cells forming like a sickle-shaped red cells. So this produces a lot of circulatory problem, thrombosis, blockage of the vessels, all those things takes place. So that professor was giving this patient full relaxation so that the professor used to say that even if a mosquito bites, the patient was not able to perceive that bite. He was not disturbed by the bite. His relaxation continued. So he was really getting very good relaxation, followed by auto-suggestion that his genetic disorder is getting corrected. And the doctor who was hematologist, blood doctor, who was managing this patient was also informed about this thing. And to the surprise of the blood doctor consultant, the blood transfusions were becoming less and less required. They were able to manage him without blood transfusions. So at one stage, they could see normal red cells in this thing. So the doctor, that is professor in charge of the meditation center, said that the doctor who has seen the slides, blood slides having sickle cells and the normal RBCs, presented the case in Delhi hematology conference, and the entire people, the doctors, appreciated it, and quite a number cannot give any credit to the case as they were not ready to believe it. So such things do happen with our practices. Yes.
So, so one question. So why, even though you presented the data, everything, right, with all the stuff, like why that the doctors are not able to take that, they're not able to accept that?
It was a single case. As a case report, it attracts less attention than a regular paper. And we don't come across such long association between chronic disorders and the practitioners. Now it is a multi-system, that is the treating doctor, the professor, the patient, and cooperation from the family, all required. And above all, we should be blessed to have such unbelievable miracles happening in our practice. And I have not ventured to disclose this in any forum, as we have been having a constant interaction for quite a long time, probably 1 or 2 years now. So you have some confidence in me, and I have some belief that you will be able to understand it. And so I have ventured. If it is a new forum, I would not have disclosed this even. Any comments?
So, but again, like when you in your case, right, when you're treating the sugar patients now,
Yeah.
is there a plan? Is there a plan to? Is there a plan to bring it out like as a like some kind of at the end, publish?
If I get some 15 to 20 cases, then I will definitely present it and write an article on this and explore the possibility of presenting it. The quality of healing in diabetic foot with magnetism, biomagnetism, is totally that is the granulation tissue, that is the new cells that are formed are behaving differently. Usually these granulation tissue, the red healing tissue, will grow to a level and will stop. They will become skin-like epithelial cells. They will become epithelialized, and further growth of the tissues to build up that tissue, lost tissue, will not be there. And doctors, we follow grafting. We plan to mobilize the tissue from the other leg to the affected leg with full thickness, this thing, tube the thigh, and that is transferred to the affected area. The full thickness graft is by full thickness graft, I mean, that is the subcutaneous tissue and the fat there and the deep fascia there, all those things. In some cases, even muscle part of the man's. So you get the plastic surgeons, they do this job, and it is a laborious process. They operate 6 to 8 times on the same limb to shape it further to suit this thing. Whereas when I was using this magnetism as a healing factor, to my surprise, the without a tubular graft, without a total thickness graft, where it is a skin, subcutaneous tissue, deeper tissues, and they form, they give the appearance of the normal, this thing, and the skin looks normal. That is the spectacular achievement of the plastic surgery. Whereas in my cases where I have used biomagnetism, the deeper tissues, subcutaneous, the tissue below the skin has the same normal consistency. They don't require a skin graft, and they are looking like normal skin. This I presented to a yoga group, not Sky Yoga, and a different. Those who follow in that meeting, I presented this case to see normal skin cover being generated by the patient himself. So that is what I expect to achieve in these two cases handling right now. It is comparable to my health camp experience. Now here in health camp, and is not diabetes when going ready. When they are real, that is increasing that the diabetic state also, the A1C, the 3 months average value, that also comes down. So parameters in diabetes are returning to normalcy without any special addition of medicines. I don't add any medicine to correct the lipid abnormality as we do in allopathic practice. And this shows full how I have to about the process becoming better. And I have we are conducting now the 60th 1 month residential health camp in Alia. So we have around 2,000 patients treated in the health camps. And this vast experience is giving confidence in me that it is giving. The medical doctors are very familiar with the Satyam project. That is a research project offered by this BJP government after the separate wing being created for Ayush system of nowadays uh, homeo and natural of the Unani and all. That basket is called Ayush group. And after this, they are encouraging research in the Siddha, Ayurveda, yoga and naturopathy. So, to one such research funding agency, I submitted a proposal where the results were generated out of the camps there. When I presented this to the authorities in Bangalore, where I was called to present the case, the doctors there, they didn't, they questioned the genuineness of the paper. They asked why you are testing the 3 months blood sugar average, A1C, within at the end of the first month itself. Usually we check it after 3 months when they are supposed to produce some changes. Whereas here within a month we get reduction in A1C. That is A1C is from 10, it comes down to 8, 7, like that. Higher the values in the pre-intervention state, greater is the fall. It is something like the obese patient with 110 kilos. At the end, within a month, he loses 14 to 15 kilos in a month. And like that, in diabetes, when we get the overall improvement, I was suggesting only that is the healing factor, interventional factor is biomagnetism. And since this biomagnetism is operating at the core level, not at the tissue level, not at the cellular level, and still deeper, it is beyond the chemical level, and it is at the level of magnetism, biomagnetism. So the pleomorphism, that is the ability to produce vast changes with single intervention, is possible when you employ yoga, especially in our case, sky yoga. Maharishi's sky yoga. Recently, the administration was suggesting, president was suggesting, since sky yoga, with the popularity of yogic practices, 120 countries, 19 countries taking it up, the sky yoga is being utilized by many. So, President suggested Sky Yoga, that is Maharishi's Sky Yoga, to specify that. And it is showing such very good results of worth worldwide attention. So I think with more people who can believe on these changes which Sky Yoga is producing, we will be able to give new directions in the medical management of or yogic management of diseases. What, Naresh?
That's really interesting, like to add this. So I wish at the end we can produce some good publications, of this research.
Cooperation. See, The results are coming to me, though I am involved in sky research for the past 15 to 20 years. The results are coming. I am becoming bold to mention. Basically, I am not a research scholar. I'm only a clinician, but still I'm getting it. Unfortunately, the age is taking over my overall performance. I'm becoming hard of hearing. The vision is failing. I'm not able to read the mobile screen freely without magnification. So, and I'm becoming ataxic also. So I have limitations, which I think with the grace of Maharishi and the divine, we will be able to overcome. Yes, who is going to respond to comment on these statements?
Aya, can I add few points, please?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you,
Please.
Aya. First of all, congratulations on your wonderful work, Aya. And second thing is, for the question why we are not able to publish properly, the main other problem is quantification. Say, for example, if we are giving a patient with diabetes medication, we can quantify the patient. That patient is taking single drug metformin. Patient is on two drugs, say metformin and glucophage. Patient is on insulin with particular units like 10 units, 20 units. So we can quantify the input of medications and we can match it with the improvement, etc. Unfortunately, in this biomagnetism aspect, there is no way a person can quantify. A person of 30-year-old can do wonderful kaya kalpa and get biomagnetism to certain level. We can only say there is it. That's it. And a person with 70-year-old can get even double the amount of biomagnetism compared to even a 30-year-old. So it's unquantifiable, it's plentiful, it's puranam, it's such a brimming energy concept. That is one thing. The other thing is, being a medical practitioner, what I will say is medicine is failing in so many aspects like diabetic treatment, and as Rabi Ayya said about this diabetic food, and cancer treatment is so pathetic. So we can go hand in hand without stopping any of those allopathy related interventions. We can add this biomagnetism, and then based upon the biomagnetism's uptake, and once it gets the upper hand, slowly we can reduce the strength of intervention in allopathy and show some good results. So that will be a good one. Say, for example, we can compare it like two arms. One arm, the standard guidelines based allopathic intervention. The second arm, the same standard allopathic intervention super added with this biomagnetism related intervention, and show the statistically significant improvement. And this is the backbone of the other alternative medical fields like pranic healing, etc. So there are two methods: one by the patient's own biomagnetism by practicing sky yoga and kaya kalpa; the other one is by the practitioner or the curer or the healer, whoever they say, they give the biomagnetism for that person's healing. So those are the two concepts. So there is a definite role and it works everywhere. And the Rabia statement, like for example, a proper medical management of diabetes with HbA1c control will produce only a good pinkish granulation tissue. Then the plastic surgeon needs to do some reconstruction, in fact need to even carve out the granulation tissue to appropriate food shape, because sometimes the granulation tissue will be overgrown, and then we need to epithelize it by using a skin grafting. The beauty of this Kayakalpa or biomagnetism which Maharishi has given us has the potency to stimulate the pluripotent stem cells. So that's where the outcome, where there is no real overgrowth of granulation, and the epithelialization also happens because the cells has that pluripotency, and because they are the activation of the stem cells and deactivation or autophagy of the disease producing dead cells. That's the actual pathogenesis or the mechanism behind how it works.
I
Appreciated,
have quick
Nanda.
question. So, sorry.
Huh?
Go ahead. So, no, I wanted to ask one thing with the Dr. Ananda. So, Dr. Ananda, so is it possible to do this kind of research in London? Say, for example, what Dr. A is doing here?
We can't do, definitely we can't do it in London, it because we have not made in the place where it has to be done. Say for example, now the government has announced a women specific research grant, and in Sky Yoga we are doing research comparing the diabetic patients intervention with Sky Yoga to see how the HbA1c increases, etc. We need to produce, because our government, as Rabi Ayya said, with the help of this coming up of Ayush, there is a good support. We should produce robust randomized control trials in the place where it can be done very easily, like India, and then we need to use that as a evidence to portray and get it to the Western world. We can't go directly to the Western world. It will become like a pranic healing. It will become like an alternative healing.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Gentlemen, it is a good news that Ananda is suggesting India to take the lead in establish a new method of intervention with yoga and naturopathy. And see, the respect given to R&D in Alia itself it is slowly evolving. Initially, they said when we are giving the annual report, President used to say R&D is a department for expenditure, not for any profit making. And so we don't expect any good result from R&D other than expenditure, other than loss. But over the years, with the intervention of with the student camp, health camp and all, we have been able to make some profit, and our present study with NIMHANS is totally financed with 14 lakhs. This thing, the expenditure is owned by R&D. So we have moved from department meeting only with expenditures and losses to we have started making some profit, and we have given a positive contribution. That is, we are able to finance our own project. It NIMHANS to the extent of 14 lakhs. And you all know that in Chennai, building is being constructed. We have given nearly 10 lakhs to that scheme like that. So R&D is now making capital contributions. So we have now provision for 850 students to join the April-May camps. So things are changing, and now we have the support of a yoga and naturopathy graduate who has worked in SVASA, where recognized research work is being done. So now we have a person with research experience in a premier institute for yoga and naturopathy. So we are changing the outlook, the way we are looked into with hope has come, and in years to come we will be able to do better, I suppose.
Varga Valamudan. This is Prasad here.
Yes.
Wonderful. Very happy to hear that. I just have 3 points. The first point is with respect to quantification. So I think early on, probably in the beginning of last year or something, I was asking if there is a device because I have been involved in multiple medical gadgets and clinical trials, new drug development, and so on. So coming to the question is, I requested if we have some way of quantifying, let's say a person does Kaya Kalpa Yoga for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Is there any way we can quantify that this gentleman has 10 units of biomagnetism in him? And I remember you and also some other people said, we don't have it, Prasad, and it might probably take some time during the course of as things evolve. So I just like to bring back to the forum again and say, probably there is something which I don't know. And of course, I will also ask some people, my peers and my mentors and also my students to find out if there is such a device. I mean, I put it very simply. I know it is not that simple. Like, I can go to Rabindranath Iyer and measure his biomagnetism and say, oh, Rabindranath Iyer has got like around 50 units. And let's say I go to Anand, and Anand, I say, okay, how much unit? He's probably got like around 20 units. And let's say they come to me and they say, oh, no, Prasad has got only 5 units. So something like that. It might be very simple in concept, but I know it is not that easy. So that is the first comment. The second comment is, I have heard in my early phase of my life, in my career especially, that R&D is a loss-making entity and R&D doesn't exist but for expenses and a lot of philosophy and not real applications. So I've heard this a lot, and over the course of after my first phase of my career, I've evolved myself to very different things. I've had a lot of failures and successes. So I see that having similar roots here. But one thing I would like to bring it to this forum, probably it might not be appropriate, is, let us not look everything from an accounting perspective. I'm also an MBA from another top school, so I need not be taught what needs to be done in terms of accounting or finance. So why I do mention this is because we do have an accounting mindset when we start looking at our Excel sheets and putting our numbers together. So you need to have a little bit of a financial outlook of how we want to take from it. And as you correctly said, the R&D is evolving, the outlook is changing, and I'm sure probably it'll also trickle down to the corporate world and also not corporate world, but the non-profit executive board. And also there are a few accountants sitting out there, but who probably are not really financial consultants. So as appropriate with your age and maturity, you can bring it up at the right time to the bigger executive board. This is just a small input. If appropriate, you can consider. And the third thing is knowing that, such an arm like Ayush exists there. And in fact, I was involved with Tanjore Institute, a Tanjore Institute where we were trying to develop a concoction, a Siddha-based concoction, and try to bring it to Western clinical trials, as Anand was mentioning. It has its challenges. I think we need to probably focus ourselves being in India, knowing our strength and the people who understand it much better. And if something can be done, it'll be absolutely, absolutely delightful and great. So I had these 3 comments to make, and I thought I'll make this in this forum with the liberty of knowing that I've been in this forum, people understand me, and we all understand each other. Thank you, Aya. Bless everybody in this forum.
Thank you. Thank you. I remember you asking for a measuring mechanism for biomagnetism. And we conducted the 10th Doctors Conference, SkyDocCon, in association with NIMHANS. At that time, there was one scientist, researcher, who said that he has a mechanism to measure the biomagnetism. I lost contact with him. I'll try hard to identify him. And if any such instrument is available to measure, then we have a very much required instrument to measure the voltage of biomagnetism, which can quantify and which can be helpful. It will help us to identify the personal progress, whether I have improved from last year to this year with a higher voltage of biomagnetism, whether I am able to bring down somebody, whether I'm able to do a healing on somebody with, if I can raise the biomagnetic threshold in an individual, in a recipient, after giving passes, pranic healing, the Maharishi's healing techniques are very much known to sky practitioners. He used to pass biomagnetism to a glass of water, a half a glass of water, and ask that water charged with biomagnetism to be taken by the person. With fever, it becomes better. With pain, it becomes better. With abdominal pain, where I suspected appendicitis, he were able to get the pain reduced, the symptoms cleared with the passes pranic healing, the Maharishi's technique of healing techniques, where you wipe out the biomagnetic energy from the affected spot and recharge it and normalize the biomagnetic circulation. The symptoms disappear. Such experiences are there, and we will be able to improve it in due course with wider population, wider acceptance, and due recognition to the healing techniques of sky, Yam sky system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, Vargalamudan. I'm sorry, everyone. We're over by 12 minutes now. So I would like to conclude the session now. And we'll talk more in the following session next week. There's a lot of points being put through, a lot of takeaways for moving forward.
Tarun, 1 minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have posted Manisha's questions and the other unanswered questions for the last meeting to this meeting. Only this afternoon I was telling Manisha to come and attend. We will discuss about that. But the subject has been hijacked by listening to Ananda about the healing and the magnetism research. So I was also carried by the measurement of biomagnetism. So we jumped, but that was a good exposure, I suppose. Everyone will appreciate, I think. So we will have the next week the long pending question and answer session. Is it okay, Manisha?
Yes, sir. Can I take just 30 seconds to say something of what you spoke?
I'll give 60 seconds. Take over.
Okay. Okay, no, thank you. Actually, what you spoke is we are talking of measuring biomagnetism is like a top-down approach where we have data and we then share it with the world. I just want to share my own experience with the naturopathy yoga, sky yoga, that it worked on me. Then it went to my family, my sister, my parents, to the extent that my father actually spoke of it in the alumni meet in an engineering college. So it's like, it's a bottom to top approach. We experience something, and through our words, through our trust, we spread it. It is not a measurable thing in terms of science, but it definitely percolates, it definitely expands, and it makes a difference. So I just wanted to share that, sir. Thank you so much.
Right. So we will have your questions next week.
Hanji, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Session. So,
Tarun, you take over.
Yeah, shall we conclude, Aya?
Yes, definitely. I won't interfere. You conclude.
Thank you. Sorry, in the interest of everybody's time, thank you very much for joining this wonderful session. And we had a lot of interactions with many speakers. expressing their thoughts and wishes. So with that, we conclude today's session by world blessing. May the world be blessed with plenty of rain, the farmers work to produce an abundance of grain, let practitioners of all prosper, flourish, and grow, and culture progresses through the need to share and grow. Let the rulers be beyond feelings of anger or fear, illiteracy, poverty, and all evils made to disappear. Let the true lamp of knowledge burn steady and bright. Our sense of duty guide us along the path always right. வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Recording stopped.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். I'm extremely sorry I lost connectivity in between. Sorry, Ravindranath Iyer. I lost connectivity, hence I could not continue your listening to you. So extremely for the inconvenience. Thank you, Iyer. Thank you. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Thank you.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Thank you, doctor.